Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to this episode of the Brooklynite TV podcast. I'm Frank, and today we're diving into the wild world of politics once again with a twist that only Brooklyn can bring us. So buckle up as we explore why certain characters might just be better off in their own sitcom than in the White House. So grab your cup of coffee, put your feet up, and let's get right into it. Again, welcome to today's podcast, where we delve into the life and political career of Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, the vice presidential nominee of the Democratic Party. Today, we'll critically examine his policies, his controversial claims, and his overall impact on his state. This isn't just a casual look. We're going deep into the more contentious aspects of his career, including his left-leaning policies, allegations of stolen valor, and his handling of crisis. So buckle up as we navigate through this intricate landscape of politics and governance. Tim Walz is the 41st governor of Minnesota, having taken office in January 2019. Before becoming governor, Walz served as a U.S. representative for Minnesota's 1st congressional district from 2007 to 2019. Walz is a member of the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, which represents a strain of progressive politics that has increasingly dominated the Democratic Party. While this podcast will address some of his more contentious and criticized policies and actions, it is crucial to understand who Walz is before diving into these controversies. Walz's tenure as governor has been marked by a distinctly left-leaning agenda. His policies reflect a commitment to expanding the welfare state, increasing government spending, and enacting progressive reforms. Now, on paper, these policies are designed to support the middle and lower classes, but they have also faced criticism for being poorly executed and ineffective. For instance, Walz has pushed for significant increases in education spending, which, while notable, has not led to substantial improvements in student outcomes. Critics argue that his administration's approach to education reform is about funding more than about tangible results, and the increased spending has not yet yielded the promising improvements in Minnesota's education system that he hoped it would have had. Walz's healthcare policies also reflect his progressive stance. He has been a proponent of expanding healthcare access through public options and increased state funding. However, critics will argue that these policies have led to bureaucratic inefficiencies and have not resolved the systematic issues within Minnesota's healthcare system. The expansion of government in healthcare, while well-meaning, has resulted in longer wait times and increased costs without significant improvements in care quality for many people in Minnesota. One of the most controversial aspects of Walz's career is his involvement in scandals involving claims of stolen valor. Walz has a background in the National Guard, and during his time in Congress, he often highlighted his military service as part of his public persona. However, there have been allegations and criticisms suggesting that Walz exaggerated much of it or misrepresented his military achievements for personal and political gains. Now, while Walz has defended his record, the accusations have nonetheless cast a long shadow over his public image. Critics contend that if these allegations are true, they represent a serious breach of trust and integrity, undermining his credibility as a leader. Perhaps one of the most significant criticisms of Walz's tenure as governor involves his response to the George Floyd riots in 2020. The riots, which erupted following the murder of George Floyd by a Minnesota police officer, saw widespread unrest and destruction across the city. And Walz's handling of that situation has been widely criticized. Many argue that his response was inadequate and that his administration failed to take decisive action to control the violence and protect businesses and residents. Critics claim that his lack of effective leadership contributed to the extensive damage and chaos that ensued. Now, the governor's critics argue that his administration was slow to deploy the National Guard and other resources to restore order. Now, while Walz has defended his actions, saying that he was focused on de-escalation and addressing the root causes of the unrest, many believe that his approach allowed the situation to spiral out of control. Walz's administration has been marred by several policy disasters that have led to significant criticism. One notable example is his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic in his state, where his administration implemented various restrictions and guidelines aimed at controlling the virus. These policies were met with widespread criticism for being inconsistent and poorly executed. The closures and the restrictions had a profound impact on businesses and the economy in his state, leading to many questions whether the benefits of these policies outweighed the economic and social costs. Additionally, Walz's approach to criminal justice reform has also been controversial. His administration has pushed for progressive reforms aimed at reducing incarceration rates and addressing systematic biases. However, people would argue that these policies have led to an increase in crime and have undermined public safety. Now, the push for criminal justice reform in the state, while well-intentioned, has faced backlash for not adequately addressing the root causes of crime and for failing to ensure public safety in his state. Another point of contention is Walz's personal behavior and political demeanor, which some find unusual or off-putting, or in his own words, weird. His public speaking style, often seen as unpolished or rambling, has drawn criticism from both political opponents and the general public. His tendency to make offhand remarks or display unorthodox behavior has led many to question his suitability for high office. Moreover, Walz's political style and decisions have often been described as reactionary and driven by ideology rather than practicality. His approach to government is sometimes seen as more focused on advancing a progressive agenda than on pragmatic solutions to these pressing issues. Now, throughout his entire career, Walz has faced accusations of dishonesty and misleading the public. Dishonesty and misleading the public. Critics argue that he has made several statements that were either misleading or outright lies. For example, his claims about the efficacy of his policies often do not align with the real-world outcomes observed by critics and analysts. Additionally, Walz has been accused of misrepresenting the achievements of his administration to bolster his public image. These allegations of dishonesty and deception contribute to a broader narrative of distrust and dissatisfaction with his leadership. Now, if these accusations are accurate, they represent a troubling pattern of behavior that undermines confidence in his ability to govern effectively. Under Governor Tim Walz, Minnesota has continued to be a significant destination for immigrants, including those from Somalia, India, and Hmong ethnic groups. Walz's policies and stance on immigration have influenced his trend, and while the administration's approach is rooted in commitment to inclusivity and diversity, it has faced various criticisms and challenges. So, Somalian migration. The Somalian community in Minnesota is one of the largest in the United States, with Minnesota in particular having substantial Somalian population. This demographic growth has been a result of both historical migration patterns and an ongoing refugee resettlement effort. Walz's administration has supported programs aimed at integrating Somalian migrants, including access to education and social services. However, the rapid increase in Somali migrants has been a focal point and controversy in his state. Many argue that while the support systems for these communities are well intentionalized, they have sometimes been overwhelmed by the sheer volume of new arrivals. This has led to criticisms regarding the adequacy of resources allocated to education, healthcare, and housing. For instance, public schools in areas with large Somali populations have faced significant challenges, including overcrowded classrooms and the need for additional resources to support English language learners. He also has a large Indian migration. Minnesota has also seen a notable influx of Indian migrants, particularly in the tech sector and other professional fields. Walz's administration has supported policies that make Minnesota a welcoming environment for skilled immigrants, including those from India. This has included efforts to facilitate professional licensing and integration into the workforce. Now, while the influx of Indian migrants has contributed positively to the state's economy, especially in technology and healthcare, there have been criticisms related to the integration of highly skilled professionals into the local job market and the community. Some argue that the rapid growth of demographics has created disparities in the housing market and increased competition for high-demand jobs, which strained local resources in Minnesota and had a big impact on housing affordability. Now, the influx of Somali, Indian, and Hmong migrants in Minnesota under Walz's administration highlights both successes and failures of the state's immigration policies. Now, while the intention to create a welcoming environment for diverse communities is clear, the practical impact of these policies has been mixed. In inclusion, while Governor Tim Walz's policies on immigration reflect a commitment to inclusivity and support for diverse communities, the practical outcomes have highlighted significant challenges. The strain on resources, economic pressures, and social tensions resulted from the influx of Somalian, Indian, and Hmong migrants underscores the complexities of managing rapid demographic changes and the need for more effective and balanced approaches to immigration. Now, looking ahead, the prospect of Walz moving to a national stage, such as vice presidency or even president, raises significant concerns. His left-leaning policies and contentious handling of issues at the state level suggest that he could be a deeply polarizing figure on a national stage and in over his head. His track record in Minnesota raises questions about his ability to handle complex national issues and to lead a country as diverse and multifaceted as the United States of America. If Walz were to become vice president or president, there's a legitimate concern that his policies and approach to governance could have a disruptive effect on national unity and stability. His left policies, combined with a track record of controversy and weird behavior, suggest that he might struggle to address the diverse needs and concerns of the American people. Tim Walz is a complex figure with a career marked by both achievements and controversies. His left-leaning policies, handling of crises, and personal behavior have all been subject to significant criticism. Now, as we consider his potential future roles, it's crucial to scrutinize his track record and the implications of his leadership style for this country. In conclusion, the concerns about Walz's potential role in national leadership positions highlights fears that his policies could exacerbate existing issues rather than resolving them. The impact on national unity, economic stability, and the security could be profound if his governance style and policy preferences, if they were to be applied on a broader scale. Now picture this: Tim Walz at the White House, spotting an ill-fitted suit and a pair of mismatched socks, trying to charm the press with stories about how once he befriended a talking squirrel. Now, it might sound like a sense straight out of a bizarre sitcom, but in reality, it's a recipe for disaster. Between the outlandish claims of secret government cheese vaults and policy ideas that could only make sense in a parallel universe, Tim Walz's stint in the White House would be like letting a bull loose in a china shop. Only the bull is a tap-dancing, conspiracy-theorizing whirlwind of chaos. His knack for turning straightforward issues into epic sagas of confusion and his uncanny ability to turn every discussion into a circus act make it crucial to keep him far away from any position of power. After all, the White House has enough on its plate without adding a heaping dose of whimsical mishaps and political faux pas. Now, as Americans consider the qualifications and implications of potential leaders, it's essential to critically assess how their policies and approaches may affect the nation as a whole. Now, the debate surrounding Tim Walz underscores the need for careful evaluation of political candidates and their potential impact on this country's future. His knack for spinning wild yarns about UFOs, secretly funding national infrastructure, or declaring Tuesday as mandatory dance-offs would have the staff in a perpetual state of bewilderment. Policy meetings would turn into improv shows, and diplomatic summits may end with international leaders exchanging confused glances over PowerPoint presentations of why the moon is made of cheese. This particular blend of erratic decisions and oddball theories could easily transform the Oval Office into a chaotic funhouse where the only clear thing is the urgent need for return to sanity. So keeping Tim Walz far from the White House isn't just a precaution, it's an essential move to maintain any semblance of normalcy in the realm of governance. So thank you for tuning into this podcast today, into this examination of Tim Walz and the potential implications of his policies on a national scale. Stay with us for more insights and discussions on key political figures and their roles in shaping our national future. If you enjoyed this episode today, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and share this with your friends, because everyone needs a little Brooklyn humor in their life. And remember, folks, stay informed, vote smart, and keep those political surface acts out of bay. See you next time, Brooklyn.